Hello, hello. How are you today? Dawn L. Davis, and I'm excited to be here and connect with you guys. It's been a while. So I wanted to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is all about healing, because I've been a healer for 20 years now. I can't believe it. And I've learned so much on my journey as a healer, and it's time for me to support other healers in their journey so that they can be fully successful and abundant and really have the energetic mastery and really own and integrate their gifts and their purpose and their power. So I wanted to share this with my fellow healers and light workers. And actually this could benefit anybody. It's not just if you're in the healing community as a practitioner, but you may find that you as a healer experience this in your healing journey, I should say, experience this as well. And I don't have some, thing that I'm reading from or any specific points. I just want to actually channel this and just come from my heart. And just a little bit about my background is 20 years ago, I started channeling and healing and doing that for about 10 years. And then I decided to go full time with it. So I was in corporate America doing it part-time on this, like at night and on the weekends. And then in 2013, when I had my first daughter, I was like, it's time for me to step away from trying to live in two worlds, like the corporate world and then the kind of spiritual healing world. And I took the leap of faith. And I took the leap of faith and I went full time with my business and then started teaching and also doing coaching and mentorship and all sorts of different fun things these last 10 years. But anyways, which is why I have the agency and expertise to speak to these topics from a very embodied place. I know one of the things that I've learned as a healer is that we never stop having to do our own healing work. And that when we embark on this journey, that the best healers are going to be the ones that are really doing the work on themselves too. That we can't just show up. And the truth is when I did, first start in this business, I recognized that I had this incredible gift that allowed me to channel and to see things for people. And I would hear these amazing things coming from my mouth and, to speak to whatever client I was serving. And I was always amazed at what I would hear and how beautiful it was. And I thought in the beginning that made me really spiritual and that it was almost like it was my information. And it wasn't. I was always clear that I was channeling source, but I think I had a little bit of a spiritualized ego, if you will. And that's the truth. And that being said, it took me many years to realize that I may be able to share these things and I may be able to have these beautiful things come through me, but they weren't embodied in me. They weren't my particular wisdom. And I think the thing that really allowed me to bloom and blossom as a healer was to stop thinking that was my information and to really, whoever gave me hearts or likes, thank you. And to really allow myself to, and say hi if you're here on the chat. I would love to say hello to whoever is here today. But to really listen to those things that I was channeling and start to learn from those things and start my own journey with those things. And what I've been finding in the spiritual community for healers and whatever, and spiritual, I use that term as just the journey that someone is on. It's not a specific religious group or anything. It's just if you're on a spiritual journey working for God and you want to help other people, it's easy to get a spiritualized ego. And that's what happened to me early on in my career, is that I was needing to really learn to walk my walk and talk my talk. And that has been something that I've been doing for the last, I would say, for like 5 to 6 years, is really stepping into that. And I find that for healers, they're so good at their artistry. They're so amazing at the things that they're doing. And yet sometimes when it comes to the business acumen and being successful and charging the right prices and all those kind of things, they get a little stuck, which requires some energetic mastery and some strategy, right? But there's something actually bigger that I think blocks success. And it's something that I get reminded of all the freaking time, because I'm on the journey just like you. Just, I'm always learning through my own experiences. And just like I said, I had to learn that what I was channeling, that I wasn't some spiritual guru, and that I was not better than anybody else. And I had to really learn that if I was going to be the best practitioner that I could be, the best facilitator, space holder, that I was really going to have to learn to embody and be with the teachings and the wisdom that wanted to come through me, not as an intellectual thing, not regurgitating what somebody else is teaching, not taking a course and thinking that, okay, I'll just learn this information and that's going to be it. Yes, that's very helpful. But the truth is, to be a wildly successful healer, you're going to want to find your own medicine. You're going to want to find your own gifts and your own reason and mission of why you're doing these things. And I remember a very wise woman once said to me, and I'm laughing because still to this day, it cracks me up. And this is what I said to her. And I was probably 30 years old. And back then maybe I was a little full of myself and what I thought I was capable of. And I remember saying to this mentor, I said, I want to be wildly psychic. I want to be so attuned to somebody's energy, and I want to tell them all these things and really just help them so much. And I want to blow their minds. So much ego, right? So much ego. And what was so funny about that was her reply. And she looked at me, and I knew, oh gosh, I can remember the feeling I had in my body when she replied to me. She said to me, she's like, you should be really careful what you ask for. Because in order to be wildly intuitive like that and wildly psychic, it comes with life experience and integrating and embodying that experience. And I was like, what does that have to do with being a channel? I'm just picking up the information. And of course, 20 years later, I understand exactly what she meant. I understand the initiations that healers have to go through in order to walk the walk and talk the talk. It's just part of it. And so one of the things that could be blocking your success if you're a healer and you're not seeing the results that you want is that you're serving from your wound. And I bet you got into this profession because you have trauma and wounds that you want to figure out. Something happened to you, in the past where you're like, I'm driven to figure this out. I'm driven to understand. That's part of my story. I experienced trauma just like everybody else. And I also had a mom that was very sick most of my life. And I was always wanting to understand why she couldn't be, do all the things and have the capacity like other people. And I really started to understand as I studied trauma and got trauma certified and all these different things, that my mom had so much trauma that she hasn't worked through, that it's really created the inability to show up fully in her life. And so we all have these reasons that we get into our profession, that we want to help why our gifts are activated, why they show up so strongly. But part of the issue is if you are, that's maybe what drew you to the profession in of itself. But what I'm finding with a lot of healers is that we have this unconscious wounding that lives within us, that wants to be met and be seen and be heard. And so, for instance, I know with mine, just with what I shared with you with my mom, I wanted to be seen and validated. I wanted to be approved of and liked. And so for a lot of the years that I first started out in my healing career, it was hard for me to share the most difficult things that I knew would actually support somebody in their greatest evolution, because I was too afraid of not being liked. I thought, oh my gosh, if I share this with my client, they're going to think I'm a complete a-hole. They're going to be like, why are you telling me this? And I had to really, I've constantly had to work through these different layers of these unconscious wounds. And I realized I just moved from San Diego after being there 33 years and being a part of the healing community there to a new city in Boise, and realizing I have to start over and reinvent myself. And when I went through this first part of this experience of having to reinvent myself, the craziest part of it was I was reminded of these unconscious wounds that I was coming from, where I was using my business as a vehicle for my self-worth, that my success was tied into how much I love and like myself. And it was confronting as all get out. I'm like, oh no, I thought I already worked through this in my life. I thought that I didn't think that this was my thing anymore. I thought I was done with this. Only to realize, no, there's always layers of the onion that we're peeling back, right? Getting to the truth and to the core of who we really are. And I just want to invite you as a healer to understand, yes, you may have these incredible gifts that you get to bestow and share with other people, and you still have your own work to do, right? You still have your own work to do. And you may have unconscious blocks that are keeping you from having the success that you desire, which is why I am offering some free 30-minute healer assessment sessions. It's basically where I'm going to go through and assess where you're coming from, if you're coming from your wounding, because if you are coming from your wounding, that means that you're coming from scarcity. And it doesn't mean that we're not always going to have something that we're working through, right? But it's just, as soon as you realize it and have the awareness, like I did over the years of all these different, aspects of me, like I just shared the one where, my success was tied in to how busy I am and how well I'm doing in my work. As soon as I recognized that, there was the opportunity, just like you would tell another person that you're working with, to support myself in course correcting that and not making that be where I'm leading and guiding and helping others from. So when we have compassion, when we really love ourselves and understand that we are always a work in progress, then we get to come back to this place of understanding with ourselves and just shift, right? And just figure, okay, how can I do this differently? How could this be better? So those unconscious wounds, right? They're from your subconscious, and they create your money blocks and your success blocks. And they're the thing that keep you sometimes from probably showing up and expressing yourself like I'm doing right now. They're the things that keep you from hiding your gifts from the world because of whatever wounds you're dealing with. And so it's not to say that they're not going to be there and that you're going to conquer them and that they're going to disappear. It's about having the tools and the practices to recognize what they are and to shift when you recognize them. And that is something that I'm going to be teaching in my new program, which is called Extraordinary Healer, really taking healers and helping them integrate. Because you could take on more information, take more certifications, more classes, all these things. But really, the greatest gift you could give yourself is to integrate and be with yourself and notice how you're showing up in your practice. Because here's the thing. If you're coming from that place, you are going to attract in clients And I bet you could, clients from that place. And sometimes it'll work out. And sometimes, the reflection of that energy, the energy of scarcity, or the energy of not coming from that expansiveness of who you are, that consciousness, that openness, that connection to the divine, is that your business might feel like it's not working. It might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm relying on all these things outside of myself, and it's not coming together the way I want. So then you might start to question and go into self-doubt and feel like you're super stuck. And that's not what I want for you. So I want to support you. So if you are a healer, a light worker, a spiritual entrepreneur that is on this path and this is really speaking to you, then just leave a little comment or DM me and let's connect, and I'll do a free 30-minute healer assessment to support you in understanding, where your unconscious block might be and how you can shift that so you can step into the success and the things that you really know that you're meant here to do. And that's the thing. Healers are needed more than ever. More than ever. And there's been a big shift in the industry. And I have felt it. It's affected me. I was always able as a healer to receive and make multiple six figures. And this last 6 months or so, it's been more challenging. I think people are more discerning. I think the economy has shifted, all sorts of things. And it could all be stories, but it's real. I've noticed it. And I know other people in my field and my peers have as well. And I think this is when it's more important than ever to not get caught up so much in what's going on outside of you, but what's happening internally, so that you can really co-create and serve and feel excited and optimistic about what's possible. Because no matter what, there are so many people in this world that need your services. So many. And just with a few tweaks, with just understanding and looking at the dynamics of how you're showing up in your business and in your life, then you can shift those blocks. You can shift from not feeling like your calendar is filled up to having a waiting list. You can shift from not feeling like you're making the money that you want, even though like you're really good at what you're doing, but for whatever reason you haven't been able to own your prices or whatever it is, to really being able to confidently own that and receive what you need so that you can support your beautiful life too. Because I believe a healer should be abundant. They really should. It's no different than a therapist or a doctor or different. And it's a field where there's so much growth available. So anyways, if this has resonated, let me know what spoke to you. And if you are clear about what might be showing up for you as far and within yourself, as far as what might be blocking you. And if you're unclear and confused about that, message me and let's do that free healer's assessment. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm excited to get back on here again soon, and I'll talk to you later this week.